Hello, I'm Mrs. Schroeder. Welcome back to chemistry. We are going to talk about section 2 in chapter 1 with properties of matter and describing matter. The two things we're going to talk about covering today are these two with the stars by them. And sometimes data is in the form of what's called qualitative data. This is describing how something looks or feels. For example, the metal turned orange, or it felt hot. Those are qualitative, how it looks. Sometimes we have data which is called quantitative. This is measuring something in numbers. I used 5.0 grams. The material gave off something. And those are the two types of data we're going to use. Now, most of the time in this class, we're going to try to talk about quantitative numbers. Those are things that we actually have units for. And the unit is key here. If I just said I have 9.2, it doesn't mean anything. Okay, 9.2 what? Grams, milligrams, kilograms. It's a big difference when you're talking about what it is. So always, when we are dealing with labs, we want to include our units. When we express units in this class, we're going to use SI units. If I ask you to measure the length of a block of wood, you would not measure and tell me it's 2 inches. You would measure it in centimeters. So what are SI units? Hopefully you've been exposed to these in the past. Hopefully this is something you remember from earlier grades. The four that we really need to be concerned with, that you need to make sure you know, length right here. The symbol is a small l. We're going to use the unit of meter or the abbreviation of m. If something is 5 m, that means it's 5 meters long. Okay. Mass, when we're using it in equations, is a small m. We talk about how much. If it is 3 kg, that's how many kilograms it is. Time in seconds, indicated with a small t, or written as an S for seconds. Sometimes I will write SEC because the S by itself sometimes looks like a 5, but officially it just needs the S on it. Temperature, Kelvin is the official temperature for SI. We will often use degrees Celsius in this class. We do not use Fahrenheit. Things that are stars you need to know. We also have things called derived units in SI. So you might be saying, there's another unit I know I've heard of. Okay, what do you buy pop? And you buy it in a 2-liter bottle. Okay, liters is actually a SI unit. It's an SI unit of volume. But it didn't show up here for volume. So how do I measure that? It's because it's called a derived unit. Okay. Examples. Speed. Okay, we talk about how fast something goes. Speed is derived. It's meters per second. Okay, area. You talk about buying carpet or how much land you have. You're talking about an area of something. We use meters squared. Maybe we use centimeters squared. But it's going to be something squared. Volume is the key that we often talk about that's not included here. This is one conversion that you make sure you need to know also. Write this down. 1,000 mils is a liter, or centimeters, or you can just write down 1 mil equals 1 centimeter cubed. You're often going to have to make this conversion in your head. Just make sure you understand that a milliliter is a cubic centimeter, and I can show you in class what that would look like. Now sometimes the units are kind of silly. If we're talking about how tall a person is, we can say they're 2.5 meters tall, and that makes sense. But if we're talking about how far it is from here to Chicago, we're not going to say it's 80,000 meters. Nobody likes numbers that big, so we use prefixes, and these are some common ones. The stars indicate ones that you really should have memorized. Kilo, centi, and milli are all very common, and you're going to use those all the time in this class. Hecto, deca, and deci may show up as we're doing conversions. The book will throw some of those at you to see if you know them. it's not going to be a common prefix that we're going to use in this class. And these multipliers tell you how they're related to the base unit. The base unit being right here. So the base unit is a meter. A centimeter is 1/100th of a meter. Some other, I would call them uncommon prefixes. Okay, they're still prefixes. They're still SI prefixes, but we don't use them as often. A giga, use it with computers. A gigabyte. A mega, again, a megabyte, something very big. It's a million. A micro, this U symbol, you write it like that. It's a mu. It's a Greek mu or Greek M, and it's, you can see to the how many zeros you have before the 1. That's how big it is compared to the base unit. Nano. This is another one that we use in chemistry sometimes. They talk about nanoparticles or nanoscale. We're talking about very, very small scale things. Okay, and a pico would be even smaller. This is not a very common unit. Even in chemistry, it's not very common when we talk about picometers.